nomanya nti nze etandise.
Ningidde kiraasi eri naye ate bange eri bakwagala ojjawo gundi embedding.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good morning to all of you. I welcome you to yet another wonderful edition of Business Math. Actually, we are almost concluding, or we are almost ending this topic of business mathematics. If I may remind you, under business mathematics, we've looked at several aspects, and we are still continuing with those aspects. Actually, among them, we looked at depreciation, appreciation, and very many others. Okay, I can see the chat room people were discussing things here. So for today, we are going to look at we are going to have a continuation of the taxation, because I remember last time we looked at a few examples, and I'm going to first write this question here. In a certain school, let me try to increase the size of my letters so that you can see them very well. In a certain school, comma, there, the teacher's salary, teachers' salaries. We call the teachers' salaries, because there are very many teachers. Teachers' salaries. Include the following tax-free allowances. Include the following tax-free allowances. Remember, we talked about allowances. We talked about the gross income, which is the income that is actually written that you're supposed to receive. Then secondly, we had to look at the allowances, this is part of the gross income, but it is tax-free. Yes, it is part of the gross income, but it is tax-free. I'm going to draw a table, type of allowance. This time around, we are drawing a table for the allowances, type of allowance, and then the amount they give that particular allowance. So the first allowance is the legally married teacher, a teacher who is legally married. Legally married teacher. The amount that they receive is my marker is almost. They receive shillings 10,000. for being legally married. 2, each child under 10 years. Each child under 10 years, you receive shillings 2,500. To continue, each child above 10 years, you're writing down this question. The amount that is given to this child is shillings 2,000. The child is above 10 years. Then we continue. The other allowance is unmarried teacher. If a teacher is not married, you receive shillings 60,000. Okay? Then we continue. We have, if the teacher happens to be a housemaster, stroke mistress. Housemaster stroke mistress, you receive shillings 5,000. That's what we've added. Then head of department. The teacher happens to be a head of department. He will receive an allowance of shillings 10,000. Okay. Then to continue, PTA of shillings 50,000. And lastly, if a teacher happens to be a class teacher, he will receive an allowance of shillings 5,000. 5,000. Let me try to draw a table here so that I will put all these things into a table. This is a table for all this stuff. Okay. Legally married teacher, child above 10 years. So we are writing this. This is the question that we have in the first place. Okay. So you need to write that in a certain school, the teacher's salaries are okay. So that's what we are looking at currently. So I hope you've written down that in a certain school, the teacher's salaries include the following tax-free allowances. The type of allowances, first off, we have legally married teacher. The allowance is shillings 10,000. A child under 10 years of age, they are supposed to use shillings that amount that you can see there. Let me hope you've written down those questions. Let me hope we are there. Okay, now let me hope you've written down these things in your books. I'm going to rub them off. Let me hope you've written down these things. Okay. Now I'm going to continue. I don't know whether we are in the same line. I'm going to continue now. Okay. So after writing this, I'm going to continue. Okay. Okay. Now, uh, okay. So now I'm going to clean this and then I write the continuation of the question that we're going to look at. Uh-huh. if you happen to be a legally married teacher, there is an allowance they give you. They also give allowances to unmarried teachers. Now we are continuing with the other part of the question, where they are telling us that we are continuing with the same question. Mr. Birungi and Mr. Serubiri and Mr. Serubiri are senior teachers. They are teachers in a certain in this very school. Certain senior teachers in this very school. Full stop. Mr. Birungi is legally married. With two children. Under the age of 10 years. Under the age of 10 years. And one child above 10 years. And one child above 10 years. Okay. Comma. He is also a class teacher. And the head of pharmacy department. Full stop. Continue. Mr. Serubiri, now we are looking at another teacher. Mr. Serubiri is single, but he has two children. Under the age of 10 years. The age of 10 years. And also a housemaster and a class teacher. And a classy teacher. Full stop. So this is the question that we're looking at. They are telling us that Mr. Serubiri is single, but he has two children under the age of 10 years and also a housemaster and a class teacher. So that is what Mr. Serubiri holds. So they are telling us that the gross income the gross income at the end of the month. I know these questions are very wordy. Please don't get discouraged. They give you a lot of words and you have to substitute them. Actually, this is one of the most wordy topics subjected to paye. I think you've ever had paye. It means pay as you earn. Let me put it in bracket here. Pay as you earn. Paye, pay as you earn, which has the following rates. The following rates has the following rates. Full stop. The rates are as follows. Semicolon. For the first 10,000, for the first shillings, 10,000 of your gross income, okay? For the first 10,000, taxable income, comma, the tax is 20%, while the rest is taxed 15% at the end of the month. Members, you need to be very keen on this. The question seems to be a little bit wide, but I told you this topic it is very wordy, as in there are very many words involved in the topic. But if you read and understand these words, it is always the simplest topic where you can get the total mark of this number out. This number normally comes in section B. I'm going to continue from here. Don't know whether we are together. I'm going to continue from here. The rest at the end of the month. So Mr. Selvidi is single but has 2 children under the age of 10 years and also a housemaster and a class teacher. The gross income at the end of the month is subjected to paye, which means pay as you earn, which has the following rates. The rates that the first shillings 10,000 of the taxable income, the tax shillings 10,000 of the taxable income, 10,000 taxable income of the taxable income. Then the tax is for the first shillings 10,000 of the taxable income. The tax is 20%, while the rest is taxed 15% at the end of the month. After taxing the first 10,000, then you get what you remain with on the taxable income. So we need to write that very fast. Then the question continues that Mr. Birungi's gross income was shillings 150 So this was his gross income. And Serubiri's gross income was shillings. So these ones, each of them has a different gross income. Part A, or Roman 1, among other questions. Roman 1, calculate the taxable income for each teacher. For each teacher. We have 2 teachers. That is Roman 1. Then Roman 2, tax paid as a percentage of the gross income for each teacher. For each teacher. Okay. Okay, so there we are. We are looking at Mr. Birungi and Mr. Serubiri as senior teachers in this very school. Mr. Birungi is legally married with 2 children under the age of 10 years and 1 child above 10 years. He is also a class teacher and a the head of commerce department. Mr. Serubiri is single but has 2 children. Let us first write that question. Actually, you continue. It's a continuation of the other table that we drew in the first place. So you need to be very keen on that. Yes, calculate the taxable income for each teacher. You know what? Where we get taxable income, the income that is supposed to be taxed. Taxable income is equaling to gross income minus the total allowances. So you have to first get all the allowances, and then you remove the taxable income. Rather, the gross income, and then you remove the total allowances. Then what you remain with is free to be subjected to taxation. Not all the salary that you get is supposed to be taxed, but there is allowances which are part of that salary, and they are not supposed to be taxed. At least you should be knowing that. Okay, so that's what we are looking at. I hope you are writing that so that I can continue with a solution.
Easy. Yangu ya pili yani. Cheki. Tunafuka disco kwa. Kila.
Okay, you people, you can write in the comments if you have anything that you want to request or anything that you want to know.
Taking math is fun, but understandable according to physics. Yeah, at least man, what is this judgment for academic? How are we gonna do these exams? They are not related to mathematics. Tukankale kati wano bamulisaayo nga bebajjako playbacks ziri
Okay. Okay, so after looking at that, I'm going to rub that and then we do the solution together. How I wish you could talk to me verbally, but unfortunately it is not possible. So let us use what is available. You can talk to me via the chat room. Anyway, okay, after this, I'm going to leave you with some questions, which you're going to do and send me the solutions. I'll be waiting for the solutions. I was looking for those questions. I think I have them in the soft copies here. So I'm going to send them to you, my people, and you do them. Okay, so we are going to look at the solution. I hope you finished writing this. Mr. Birungi, also the questions. Mr. Birungi's gross income was shillings 150 and Serubi's gross income was shillings 130. Calculate the taxable income for each teacher. Tax paid as a percentage of the gross income for each teacher. So those are the questions that they want us to answer. I think I've given you enough time to write these things or to transfer the questions into your books. Okay. Okay. Now the first question is telling us to calculate the taxable income for each teacher. How do we calculate the taxable income? Remember, taxable income is equaling to gross income minus the total allowances. And we already have the gross income for each teacher. They told us that Mr. Serubidi's gross income was shillings 150 and Serubidi's gross income was shillings 130. Then calculate the taxable income for each teacher. We can't calculate the taxable income if we don't know the allowances that these people get or the amount of money that these people get in the form of allowances. So I'm going to say, let me start with Mr. Birungi. Mr. Birungi's allowances. I'm going to first look for his allowances, the total allowances. Let us look at the allowance and then the amount. The amount. Here, remember, we are looking at monthly allowances. So we are looking at Mr. Birungi in particular. Let us read about Mr. Birungi. They have told us that Mr. Birungi is legally married. So do they pay allowances for a legally married teacher? Yes. Legally married. Legally married. He gets an allowance of shillings 10,000 for being legally married. 2, meaning is legally went maybe to a church or a mosque and he legalized his marriage. Then 2, Mr. Birungi, the same Mr. Birungi is legally married with 2 children under the age of 10 years. Each child under 10 years, they give him an allowance of shillings 2,500. 2,500. 2 children under 10 years. This will be shillings 2,500 times 2, which will give us shillings, how much? 5,000. For his children, like they are 2, because each child gets 2,500, okay? But they are 2 children that are under 10 years. Then they continue to tell us, Mr. Birungi is legally married with 2 children under the age of 10 years and 1 child above 10 years. He also has 1 child above 10 years. 1 child above 10 years. Do they pay for children who are above 10 years for allowance? Each child above 10 years, shillings 2,000. So you will get his shillings 2,000. 2,000, sorry, not 20. It's 2,000. We continue. We continue. Is legally married with 2 children under the age of 10 years and 1 child above 10 years. He is also a class teacher Class teachers, do they get an allowance? Yes, they get 5,000. Class teacher. Class what? Class teacher. He gets shillings 5,000. Then we continue. After being a class teacher, they told us he is a class teacher. Mr. Birungi, the class teacher, and the head of commerce department. Head of department, they give you 10,000. Head of commerce department. Head of commerce department. He gets shillings 10,000 for that. So, do you have any other thing that we are leaving for Mr. Birungi? I don't think so. We've at least looked at all his allowances that he's entitled to. So we look at the total allowances for Mr. Birungi. We say total. And what is going to be the total allowances? 10,000 plus 5,000, that is 15, not so? Plus 2,000, 17. Plus other 5,000. 17 plus 5,000, that is 22,000, not so? Then 22,000 plus 10,000, 32. So he has shillings 32,000 as the allowances for Mr. Birungi. We started with Mr. Birungi, right? No. There is something that we are leaving out very importantly. Remember, Mr. Birungi is supposed also to have the PTA because he's a teacher, not so? Each teacher is entitled to PTA. That association for parents and teachers, okay? There is that PTA that they give to each teacher. If you're a teacher in that school, you're supposed to get some PTA, okay? So, we say PTA. How much do they give for this PTA? They give shillings 50,000. Oh, then we look for the total. We look for the total. What had we got here? We had got 32, not so? Then 32 plus 50, 82. It is shillings 82,000. These are the allowances. All of these ones are tax-free. That amount is tax-free. So we look for Mr. Birungi's taxable income. Taxable income is equal to gross income. Let me first write the formula again. Minus the total allowances. You remember this? We looked at it last time, no? So what is the gross income? You look into the question. Mr. Birungi's gross income was shillings. It is 100 and what? And 50 minus what? Minus the total allowances. What do we get here? Can you subtract and give me the answer very fast? What do we get? What do we get? Do you get that amount? 68,000? Yeah? So, the taxable income for Mr. Birungi is 68,000. How have we come up to 68,000? We've calculated. They asked us for taxable income of each teacher. So, we've got the taxable income of Mr. Birungi. Are you getting me? Now, after calculating the taxable income of Mr. Birungi, now we are also going to calculate the taxable income of Mr. Serubiri. Okay? These two teachers are different. Mr. Birungi and Mr. Serubiri. Are we together? So, this is what we are supposed to have. You are supposed to write up to that level. So, we've calculated Mr. Birungi's allowances and we've also calculated his taxable income. Mr. Birungi's taxable income is equal to his gross income minus the total allowances is entitled to. Those are the allowances that Mr. Birungi gets. The mathematics here is very simple. These are things that we have seen in our daily lives. Someone's income, and when you deduct off the gross income, when you deduct off the allowances, what you remain with, it can all be subjected to taxation. Now, however much that Mr. Birungi gets 150, all this money that is not taxed, okay? There are some allowances which are not supposed to be taxed. If they want to tax, they first remove the allowances, which are 82,000, and then they can tax. When they are taxing him, they base on this money, okay? They don't base on the other money. They base on this one. They say, okay, let us look at 68. How are we going to tax this? Then they tax that money based on 68,000, okay? So that is an assumption. Okay. Now here we are. So we have the Mr. Serubirizi taxable what? Taxable income. Mr. Birungi's taxable income. Now we are going to go to Mr. Serubiri. I'm going to look at Mr. Serubiri's allowances. Okay? Mr. Serubirizi. Serubiri. Beg your pardon. We're going to look at Mr. Serubiri's allowances. Serubiri. Mr. Serubiri's allowance. Now we are looking at a different person. We finished Mr. Birungi. We are now going to Mr. Serubiri. Don't know whether we are together. I've left these ones because we are almost going to write the same things. Let us go to Mr. Serubiri according to the question. They tell us that Mr. Serubiri, continuation of this. Mr. Serubiri is single. Do they pay allowance for single teachers? unmarried teacher, they pay you an allowance. So he's going to get an allowance for being and what? If he's single, it means he's unmarried. Not so. Shillings 60,000. Continue. Mr. Birungi Serubiri is single but has 2 children. If he has 2 children, these children are entitled to allowances because they didn't tell us that the children are supposed to be from a legal marriage. Not so. He has 2 children under the age of 10 years. Each child under 10 years gets 2,500. So 2 children under 10 years, they will get shillings 500 times 2, which is equaling to shillings, beg your pardon, which is equaling to shillings 5,000. Hope you can see that. We continue. Has 2 children, is single but has 2 children under the age of 10 years, and also a housemaster. Housemaster, the allowance is given to housemasters. How much do they pay for being a housemaster? Housemaster stroke mistresses, they give you shillings 5,000. So he's going to get this 5,000. Then lastly, of his allowances, they tell us that last but not the least, it's not the last one, housemaster and class teacher. And the class what? Teacher. This man here is a class teacher. Class teachers get an allowance. See? Go back to the table. An allowance of 5,000 shillings. 5,000 also. Class teachers get 5,000. He's also entitled to PTA since he's a teacher. PTA of shillings 50,000. He's a teacher, not so? Let us add what he's supposed to get. Let's add. Try to add. Get the calculator. 5,000. This is 10,000, not so? 15. 15 plus 50, 65. Not so? 15 plus 50, this is 65. 65 plus 6,000. That is 61,000. 71,000. Not so? So, if you try to add there, do we get 71,000? So, this person is entitled to 71,000. Shillings 71,000 as the what? Sorry. Shillings 71,000 as the total allowances. Remember, Mr. Serubiri's taxable income. Taxable income is equal to gross income, his gross income minus the total what? Allowances. Not so? So what is his gross income? Look into the question. Mr. Serubiri's gross income was 130,000 minus 71,000. What do we get? 130 minus 71,000. Bring a calculator there. Try to press this. $59,000. So this person is supposed to get the taxable income is supposed to be 59. However much he gets this, but the taxable income is supposed to be 59. What was the taxable income of the other person? It was 68. It was 68, and now this one is taxable income is 59,000. So that's what we have in that case. Then there is Roman 2. We've answered Roman 1. Tax paid as a percentage of the gross income. Now we have to look at the taxes that each person is going to pay. We are going to look at each person individually when you're looking at their taxes. We start with Mr. Birungi and then we go to Mr. Serubiri. So this is what we are supposed to do. So we are now going to look for the income tax or taxable tax paid as a percentage of the gross income. You cannot get that without getting the income tax here. So I'm going to rub this off before I continue. But we have to know the taxable income of each teacher, okay? We are going to be considering each teacher on their own. We are going to start with Mr. Birungi, and then we go to Mr. Serubiri, because each one of them has their different taxable incomes, okay? We are going to consider each one of them. Okay. Okay, let me first considering Mr. Let's start with Mr. Birungi. Considering Mr. Birungi, I'm going to draw a simple table as the table that we used to use, where we have the taxable income. Then we have the rate. And then the income what? Income tax. If you really missed the first lesson, I request that you go and first look at the first lesson, because these things that we are talking about here, we first explained them, all of them, the income tax, the taxable income, and I don't think that we have that time of repeating the explanation of these things. So it's better you, after this, you go back and read, look at the first lesson, and then you, in the video library, and then you look at this as well. So, the taxable income, they are telling us that Mr. of the first shillings, so from 0 to 10,000. Because there is a statement in here which says that first shillings 10,000 taxable income, first shillings 10,000 of the taxable income, okay? The tax is 20%. The tax is 20 what? Percent. Okay? So if you want to subtract this minus this, as I told you that if there is a 0, you subtract from this, and if it is a 1, you also subtract from a 0 that is up, okay? You're not supposed to have 9999, you should have that figure with zeros. This is 20%, and 20% of this, which is 20 over 100 times 10,000. What do we get? This 0 will go with this 2, remain with remain with the 2,000. Are we together? You remain with the 2,000. That is it. They tell you that the statement is saying that first shillings 10,000 taxable income is 20%, while the rest is taxed at 15%. The rest, meaning the rest, here it will be 100,000, 100,001. Because after 100,000, the next class is 100,001. Okay? Up to the total taxable income of Mr. Birungi. What was Mr. Birungi's taxable income? Was it 68,000? Yes, it was 68,000. Then you put in the 68,000. That is the tax that Mr. Birungi is supposed to be taxed. We only do it twice. The rate is what? 15. What is the question? Also, you subtract this, not this with this, but this with this to avoid the 9919999. Okay? So this minus this, what we get? If you get that minus that, what do you get?
58.
You get 58, not so? So it will be 20. Let me put the 58 in the brackets here. So what we are going to multiply with is 58,000. It is 15 over 100 times 58,000. What do we get as the solution for this? Calculate and tell us the answer. Tell me whether you've gotten that as your solution. You have a calculator with you there? Yes. So that is it. Then you look for the total income tax, because they told us that the question is saying calculate the tax paid as a percentage of the gross income. Tax paid. So the tax paid, we get it as a form of taxable income. Rather, income tax. Income tax will equal to 2,000 plus 87,000. Rather, 8,700. Which will give us, what is the total here? Is it 10,700? Is it 10,700? Is it what you have? Then they told us that tax paid as a percentage of the gross income for each teacher. So, tax as a percentage of gross income is equaling to the tax, which is this, over the gross income of Mr. Birungi, which is 150, okay, times 100%. And this will be, tell me the percentage that you have. It will be these things are so simple, only if you accept to understand them, not cramming them. What do you have as the solution? 7.1 3. Let's round up to 4 dps. 1, 2, 3, 4%. So the solution is 7.1333%. That is the taxable tax as a percentage of the gross income. So you get the total tax that these people are supposed to pay over the gross income times 100%. Then you'll get the tax as a percentage of the gross what? Income. Remember, we are dealing with one teacher in that category. Now we are going to look at another teacher as well. That has been Mr. Birungi. Now we are going to go to Mr. Serubiri and the question will be done. Because they told us the first shilling is 10,000, that is the taxes. The answer is 7.13333. These are recurring. Yes, there is a question that I've seen from Chibirige Amina asking that are we supposed to show the working, the multiplication? Yes, Amina, we are supposed to show the multiplication. You're supposed to show the working. If it is multiplication, show that there are 2 children and you multiply 2 times 2,500, then you get the solution. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the second teacher. Allow me to continue with the second teacher. Please, my desk. Here it is. Hey. second teacher. That has been Mr. Birungi. And Mr. Birungi is done. Now we are going to consider Mr. who? Serubiri. Not so? Considering Mr. Serubiri. Remember, you have to be knowing his taxable income, the amount of money that they are supposed to tax. Remember, they told us that we use a other table here. Taxable income. Taxable what? Income. What is the next one? It is the rate. And finally, the income what? Tax. I always tell you that these words may seem to be the same, taxable income and income tax, but they are different. Taxable income, that is the money that can be subjected to taxation. And then the income tax, that is the money that goes to the government. It is the income to the government, but in form of taxes, okay? It's what you pay, but taxable income is part of your money that can be taxed. So in the first shillings, 10,000, the rate is 20%. So the difference here would be 10,000. The rate is 20%. And 20 over 100 times 10,000. The solution will be, I think it is 2,000 still. Not so? It is 2,000 still. Continue. But on the second stage, if after this amount of 10,000, the next one is 10,001, okay? Up to, what is the taxable income of Mr. Serubiri? Mr. Serubiri's taxable income? 59,000. Mr. Serubiri's taxable income is 59,000. And if you subtract this minus this, what do you get? 49,000, right? The rate is 15, not so? So it is 15 over 100 times 49,000, which is what? What is the solution there? Tell me what you get. 15 over 100 times that. So it is 15 over 100 times this. What do you have?
7,350.
7,350. You have that? Okay. Now after that, then we look for the income tax. How do you get the income tax? Is by adding, 2,000 plus 700,000. What is the income tax here? What do you get as the income tax in that case? This is 9,350. So the income tax is shillings 9,350. That is the income what? Tax. So after getting the income tax, what was the question telling us? Tax paid as a percentage of the gross income. Not so? So tax paid as a percentage of the gross income. Percentage of the gross income is equal to 9,350 over what? Over the gross income of this man. What is the gross income?
130,000.
Times 100%. What do we get here? What do you get? You get 7.19. Tell me the rest. Have you tried to divide? Seven point one.
9,
7.19.
71 point.
Yeah, you use the 13,000 instead of 130. Have you got it? 7.92%. So that is the percentage that we are looking for. Okay, the percentage of money that goes to tax. This is the percentage of his money. So 7.192 of his income goes to taxes. Okay, so that is the percentage of his money that goes to tax. These questions are very common where they are asking you such a question. They give you the tax, they don't give you the tax structure, but instead they tell you to look for those structures. Now, okay, so I request that I leave it at this, but for starters, we'll be looking at the topic known as business math, and in this topic, we've looked at several things. Actually, I'm trying to make a summary of what we've been looking at. If there is anything that you feel you did understand very well, please you can visit the video library and watch the things. We looked at under business math, business math. We have to know about profits, losses, the percentage profit, the percentage loss, those things. You have to know about in other words, interests. You have to know about interests. But mainly these are divided into simple and compound. Simple and what? Compound interest. Then, if I continue, you have to know about discounts, commission, depreciation, appreciation. You have to know things to do with, I've talked about profits, losses, interest, discount, commission, depreciation, appreciation. You're supposed to know things to do with higher purchase fee, and then the taxation bit of it. At least I'm assuring you that in every math paper, that is paper 2, that you go to, you must find a question coming from those things. Okay? So if you go there knowing at least all those things, having them at the back of your mind, you must know that I have a number in paper 2 that I can do from business math. Okay? So that is it for today, unless you have some questions to ask me. Okay, Mr. Saleh is here. He wants to talk to you. Let me give him these remaining minutes to talk to you.
Just 2 minutes.
Okay. You listen to him.
Good morning, Senior 3. I'm here to give you a very small briefing. No questions, just a briefing about what is going to happen next week. By the end of today, we shall have released the timetable for your online examinations. That is number 1. You will find it where you usually find it. And I'll ask Mr. Hood to also put it on the website for those who might be experiencing challenges going back to this site. But on the website, it will always be there. Number 2, like I said, we intend to begin on Monday, the exams. We are creating the links for you. Now, where you are not going to ask me questions about the links, because the links are still being created. If they are ready, I will show you how to do it. But we are promising you that on Monday morning, we are requesting all of you to be ready between 8:40 and 9. 8:40 a.m. and 9, that is 20 minutes to 9, we are going to begin giving the demonstration. So that at 9 o'clock, we start. The demonstration will be done at 8:40 up to 9 a.m. At 9, we start. Whoever comes late and has missed that demonstration of how you're going to be doing the exam and how you're going to submit them, you might end up facing a problem or a challenge. So kindly remind yourselves to come early onto this very link, the very page where you are right now, is where we shall encourage you to come for the demonstration. Thank you for listening.
Okay.